6:47 a.m., August 22nd, 1944. French resistance commander Lucien Marchand spread a map of Saint-Croix-sur-Mer across a wooden table and told Henri Bouchard something. 200 Nazi agents had vanished into the village overnight. Every house had been searched, every barn, every cellar, every storage room. Nothing. The Gestapo had simply disappeared. Bouchard looked at the map for exactly 11 seconds. Then he picked up a pencil and marked 23 locations. He told Marchand that's where all 200 of them were. He was right about every single one, because Henri Bouchard had been digging graves in Saint-Croix-sur-Mer for 35 years, and the dead had shown him everything the living tried to hide. Hold on, I want to ask you something before we go any further. Have you ever known what was beneath a place? Not just the surface, the depth, the hidden passages, the secrets underneath the ground everyone else walks on without thinking. Most people see only the surface of the place they live in, the streets, the buildings, the faces. Henri Bouchard spent 35 years going much deeper than that. And that knowledge, on one August morning, caught 200 Nazi agents who thought they were invisible. Henri Bouchard was born in a small Norman village, Saint-Croix-sur-Mer. A few dozen houses, one church, a market square, and centuries of layered history underneath all of it. His father was a gravedigger. His grandfather was a gravedigger. The Bouchard family had worked this village's soil for generations. At 16, he started working alongside his father. From the very first day, he noticed something. Digging graves wasn't just moving earth. It was descending into a village's memory. The head gravedigger, old Père Aumont, taught him one thing in the first week. When you dig, listen. Every layer tells you something. Bouchard didn't understand at first. How does soil talk? Aumont laughed. Look, he said, where does this clay layer start? Where does this gravel come from? Why is this piece of timber here? Bouchard looked, and this time he actually saw. 35 years, every season, every weather condition. Bouchard dug beneath this village, and as he dug, he learned. Beneath the church, a tunnel network from the 12th century, built during the plague to move bodies in secret, forgotten by everyone, found by Bouchard. Behind the old tannery, a collapsed tunnel he had closed himself in 1923 to redirect groundwater drainage. He left a 40 square meter space behind the collapse. It appeared on no map. Beneath the notary's office, an old water channel built a century earlier by a French engineer. No longer in use, but a man could still move through it. Behind the butcher shop's cellar wall, a hidden passage Bouchard had found while digging a grave in 1931. He hadn't told the owner, because the owner already knew. Every corner held a secret. Every wall hid a past. Bouchard knew all of it. Think about what that means for a second. 35 years, one man, one village, every tunnel, every channel, every hidden space, every collapsed passage. All of it stored not on any map, just in his head, just in his hands, just in the memory of a gravedigger who had spent his whole life going deeper than anyone else. In 1940, the Germans came. Bouchard was approaching 70. When the occupation began, he stayed in the village. What else could he do? He kept digging graves. Germans came. Germans asked questions. Germans conducted searches. Every time, Bouchard played the role of a deaf, slow, harmless old villager. The Germans never looked at him twice. Who cares about an old gravedigger? But Bouchard was paying attention to everything. The day the Germans first arrived, he noted which buildings they chose as headquarters. The following week, he saw which buildings they had basement doors sealed. A month later, he noticed which sections of the underground tunnel network they had unknowingly opened exits into. The Germans had no idea what lay beneath the village. Bouchard knew, and he kept that knowledge to himself. In 1942, the French resistance reached Saint-Croix-sur-Mer. Young men, determined faces, dangerous work. Commander Lucien Marchand found Bouchard. "We know you," he said. "You know this village." Bouchard looked at him. "I just dig graves," he said. Marchand smiled. "Would you like to help us?" Bouchard said nothing. Then he stood up. "What do you need?" he said. For the next 2 years, Bouchard mapped the underground network of Saint-Croix-sur-Mer for the resistance. Which tunnel leads where? Which passage floods in heavy rain? Which space can hold how many people? None of it existed on any official record. It existed only in Bouchard's memory. 35 years of accumulated knowledge. August 1944. Allied forces had landed in Normandy. The Germans were pulling back. But before they retreated, they made one final move. 200 Gestapo agents were sent into Saint-Croix-sur-Mer. Their mission? Hide in the village. Wait until Allied lines pass through, then blend into the civilian population in plain clothes and establish a new agent network behind Allied lines. The plan was perfect. Almost. August 22, 1944, midnight. 200 agents infiltrated the village. Within hours, all of them had vanished. By morning, the resistance had searched the entire village. Every house, every barn, every cellar. Nothing. 200 people had disappeared. Marchand was close to panic. Allied command had given them 12 hours. If the agents weren't found, they would scatter into the countryside and disappear permanently into the civilian population. A generation of sleeping Gestapo agents buried inside French society. At 6:47 a.m., Marchand found Bouchard. Spread the map on the table. 200 agents, vanished overnight. We can't find anything. Bouchard looked at the map. 11 seconds. Then he picked up the pencil. Now let me ask you something. Have you ever watched someone look at a problem that stumped everyone else and just immediately know the answer? Not because they're smarter, not because they have better information, but because they spent 35 years building knowledge that nobody else thought to build. That's exactly what happened at that table. 11 seconds. That's all it took. First mark, below the north wall of the church. 40 people fit here, he said. 12th century tunnel. Entrance is behind the wine cellar in the church, sealed with a stone wall. But the wall isn't real. I put it there. Marchand stared. Second mark, behind the old tannery. 35 people. There's a space behind the tunnel I collapsed in 1923. Looks like there's no entrance. But if you dig from the southeast corner, you're in within 20 minutes. Third mark, below the notary's office. 25 people, old water channel, still passable. Entrance is in the kitchen floor of the office. One of the stones lifts out. Bouchard kept marking. Marchand kept watching. He couldn't speak. 23 locations. How many people in each one? The entrance to each one. The weak point of each one. 11 minutes. Marchand finally found his voice. How do you know all of this? Bouchard set the pencil down. I've been digging beneath this village for 35 years, he said. Every grave, every foundation, every drainage channel, all of it made by my hands, or found by my hands, or repaired by my hands. But none of this is in any official record. No, said Bouchard. It only exists here. He pointed to his head. Marchand looked at the map, then looked at Bouchard. Why didn't you give us this information before? Bouchard's expression shifted slightly. You didn't ask, he said. The operation began. Resistance groups split into 23 teams. Bouchard accompanied each one personally, showed them the entrances, explained the weak points, described where each tunnel led. At 9 a.m., the first group entered the church wine cellar, exactly where Bouchard said. Exactly behind the stone wall, he said, wasn't real. 38 Gestapo agents. At 10:30 a.m., the old tannery, 33 agents. At noon, the notary's office, 24 agents. By 3 p.m., 174 agents had been pulled from 17 locations. 6 locations remained, but these 6 were different. Bouchard had noticed something. Stop, he said. Marchand stopped. What is it? These 6 locations, said Bouchard. They're below the oldest part of the village. Roman-era foundations. I've never been in there. What do you mean? The agents there may not be where I marked them, said Bouchard. Or they are, but they found an entrance I don't know about. Marchand tensed. So 26 agents are still unaccounted for. Bouchard thought, for a long time. Then he remembered something. 1937. A new water pipe was being laid through the village. Bouchard had accompanied the excavation crew, and that day they had found a Roman-era passage. They hadn't told anyone, because if they had, the village council would have halted the construction, and the water pipe would have waited. Bouchard stood up. "Follow me," he said. He walked to the oldest neighborhood in the village, to the old fountain, crouched down, felt the stones one by one, and found it, a large, flat stone, slightly different from the others, laid slightly more recently. "Here," he said. Resistance fighters lifted the stone, a passage beneath it, dark, deep, ancient, and from inside, voices, German voices. 26 agents, the final group, hiding in a Roman-era tunnel, a tunnel that appeared on no map, a tunnel Bouchard had found accidentally on one afternoon in 1937 and half forgotten. 4:45 p.m. All 200 Gestapo agents were in custody, 2 hours before the Allied deadline. 0 casualties on the resistance side. Marchand turned to Bouchard. "How do you feel?" he said. Bouchard thought about it. "Tired," he said. "I'm an old man." Marchand laughed. "I want to congratulate you. This operation—" "It wasn't an operation," said Bouchard. "I just know my village." The war ended. Bouchard stayed in Saint-Croix-sur-Mer, kept digging graves, never told anyone anything. When people asked, he said, "Helped out a bit, nothing more." He went back to his daily routine, up before dawn, out to the cemetery by first light, reading the ground the same way he always had, where the soil was soft, where the old foundations ran, where the drainage channels needed clearing. The same village, the same language, just quieter now. In 1971, a French historian researching Normandy resistance operations came across the Saint-Croix-sur-Mer reports. 200 Gestapo agents, 1 gravedigger, under 12 hours, 0 casualties. The historian tried to find Bouchard. Bouchard had died in 1968, 95 years old, in Saint-Croix-sur-Mer, in the cemetery, surrounded by the graves he had spent his life digging. The local paper wrote one line, "Henri Bouchard, village gravedigger, 79 years of service." Not a word about the 200 agents, not a word about the tunnels, not a word about 35 years of underground knowledge that, on one August morning, saved an entire Allied operation. But right now, you know, and that matters. Think about this. Henri Bouchard didn't go out that morning with special equipment. He didn't go with classified training. He went with something he'd built over 35 years by digging, listening, and learning the language of the ground beneath a village nobody else thought twice about. Nobody had asked for that knowledge. Nobody had thought it was valuable. Until one August morning, when 200 Nazi agents disappeared, and an old gravedigger picked up a pencil. Is there something in your life you've spent years building without realizing its value? A place you know better than anyone. A skill nobody's asked about yet. Knowledge sitting quietly in your hands, waiting for the moment it's needed. Maybe that moment hasn't come yet, but it will. Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. If this story hit you, hit that like button. Every like tells YouTube to push this story out to more people who need to hear it. Subscribe and turn on notifications. We dig through forgotten archives every single day and bring these people back. They deserve to be remembered, and you're the reason they will be.